Commissioners. My name is Tom Kigger. I serve as chairman of the board as well as one of the commissioners for Gastonia Township. I'd like to welcome our viewers and thank Time Warner Cable and AT&T for making this possible for our citizens. For our audience, I would like to present you to the Gaston County Board of Commissioners, beginning on my far right.
Alan Fraley, Cherryville Township.
Good evening, Chad Brown, Riverbend Township.
Good evening, Mickey Price, South Point Township.
Good evening, Jason Williams, Gastonia Township.
Tracy Philbeck, Dallas Township.
Good evening, Joe Carpenter, Crowders Mountain Township.
And I'd also like to recognize Donna Buff, our clerk, Earl Mathers, our manager, and County Attorney Charles Moore. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order. If you would all join me in standing for our invocation by Reverend Marks, Sandy Marks. Good evening.
Let's pray together. Father, as we gather here tonight, Lord, we're mindful that we are citizens of a much larger community. And Lord, as we gather, we extend our prayers, our thoughts, Lord, to those that are in Brussels. Lord, as we gather to just end of another day, Lord, they gather in the midst of tragedy. So, Lord, we pray that in the midst of that, they might feel your peace. Lord, they might experience your presence in a tremendous way. And, Father, as we gather here tonight as leaders, Lord, we are mindful of the heaviness of that responsibility. And, Lord, because of that weight, Lord, we pray for your discernment. Lord, we ask for your wisdom. Lord, that our decisions may always be made in those. And, Father, we pray also to be motivated by your compassion. And, Father, I offer this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will have a segment where we will do some proclamations and commendations. And let me read this first, and we have several commissioners will follow up on this. Whereas Gaston County employs approximately 1,500 dedicated employees, and whereas each year these employees nominate and select from among themselves the most outstanding Gaston County employees. Whereas an outstanding Gaston County employee is one who has rendered excellent service, performed in a manner that has won the respect and admiration of his or her peers, and exhibited an attitude of professionalism to be emulated by others. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners commends Detective James Brienza, Captain Bill Downey, Sylvia Garden, Tanya Jones, Scott Lambert, Chief Mark Lamphere, Alan Middleton, Abby Newton, Karen Smith, Danielle Williams, Robert Sneed, and Pat Lewis. And we express our appreciation for the exceptional and dedicated work of all the Gaston County Outstanding Employees of the Year for 2015. And we will adopt this later this evening at our regular meeting. And I believe the first one up will be Commissioner Fraley.
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to do just the employees of the year and the other one that I got scheduled while I'm up there?
Sure.
Okay.
Again.
Commissioner Keegan, if you wouldn't mind, could you tell us the order? That way when he's through, we'd know who's next.
Carpenter and Price. But I think they're doing a couple each.
Yeah.
I didn't hear Brian.
Alan, you want to do the outstanding departments first, then we'll do all the employees in order?
Are you talking about the United Way?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay, will all the coordinators, advocates for United Way, please come up? Anybody here tonight from DSS, gyms, health department, sheriff's office, access?
I'm after him.
Okay, I believe that's everybody. Employees of Gaston County continue to outdo themselves every year, increasing the amount of giving, and these leaders behind me are one of the big reasons for that. And this helps a lot of people in Gaston County in a lot of different ways. We appreciate their dedication, so I'll read this commendation now. Whereas last fall, Gaston County employees led a successful campaign for United Way of Gaston County by raising over $75,000. Whereas Jim's and Coordinator Robert Sneed led all departments in giving the 5th year in a row with a total gift of over $17,000. Whereas Gaston County Sheriff's Office and Coordinator Captain Shay Wilkinson had over $11,000 in giving for an increase of 43% over 2014. And whereas Gaston County DSS Coordinator Catherine Oglesby had over $11,000 in giving for an increase of 46% from 2014. And whereas Gaston County Health Department Coordinator Christy Williams had a total gift of over $8,000 for a 5th consecutive year. And whereas Gaston County Access and Coordinator Ann Gibson nearly doubled their gift from 2014. Whereas these efforts resulted in a 35% increase in giving over 2014 for Gaston County employees' United Way campaign for a grand total of over $75,000. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Gaston County Board of Commissioners recognizes and commends all Gaston County employees who gave, especially the coordinators and the departments of DSS, gyms, health department, sheriff's office, access for their fundraising efforts as leaders in 2015 Gaston County Employees United Way campaign on behalf of the United Way of Gaston County to be adopted the 22nd day of March 2016. Thank all of y'all. And I got a commendation for each one of you, and I don't know if all of you want to say a word or if we just want someone, would you like to come up and say a few words?
Now, it's good time.
Yeah, right.
Good evening, Miss Alley.
Good evening. It's always a pleasure to come before you and thank the county employees and their coordinators for all the hard work that they do to help us raise money for our United Way campaign. The 2015 campaign will probably come in at about $2 million. So that $75,000 is a great help for all the folks in Gaston County that we help that are in need in our education, in our financial stability, in our health programs in Gaston County. Hopefully, we'll be able to come back and give you a little more information in detail on how that money is being put to work in Gaston County. I would like at this time to introduce our board chair, Barbara Yarborough, who would like to say a few words.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight to celebrate the efforts of the Gaston County employees. I think as county employees, you probably have a special connection to the community and see up close and personal the needs that a lot of times the rest of us don't. And so we really thank you for your support. We especially thank these coordinators. I was really wowed by the statistics that I heard Commissioner Fraley say. So again, we appreciate you helping us live united and hope you will continue to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give them another hand, guys. You want me to continue, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman? Okay. With the employees of the year, first, Mr. Mark Lamphere. Mark in the house. Mark Lamphere is the EMS chief at Gaston County EMS. Mark's nomination describes him as a leader who empowers his employees and strives to understand challenges his employees face every day. Mark is praised for his vision for looking forward in an ever-changing medical community. This is evidenced by Mark's implementation of the just culture approach at GEMS to improve the care system and encourage employees' ownership of the service provided to our community. GEMS is credentialed by the Commission on Accreditation of Ambulance Services, CAAS. In 2015 marked the 21st year GEMS maintained this standard. CAAS accreditation signifies that your service has met the gold standard and is essential for a modern emergency medical services provider. Another achievement was the launch of the Dynamic Development Staffing Initiative, providing optimum coverage during peak call times while at the same time offering employees more flexible scheduling. For his empowering and visionary leadership to a critical public safety service to our community, Mark Lamphere is Employee of the Year. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate your job. And you guys do it. So when you- how about turning it over to Coach? Come on, man. This is Coach.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to receive this award.
Thanks. Next, Captain Robert Sneed. I believe he was just up here receiving as one of the leaders for United Way.
Folks, if you would stick around for a few minutes, I'd like to get a picture up here after the commissioners are through.
This is for Captain Robert Sneed at GEMS. Local charities often have enough staffing to serve their clients' needs and not enough to fundraise, while others need some assistance in raising critical funding for their programming. This is why United Way of Gaston County is so valuable to our community. Similarly, the United Way relies on the community advocates, coordinators to meet face-to-face with the public to raise those funds, and that's why people like Captain Robert Sneed are so valuable to our community. Each year, Robert dedicates countless hours to United Way campaign, personally meeting with each GEMS employee in addition to his daily duties, and often does this on his own personal time. Each year, Robert makes his mission to surpass the previous year's contribution. Since 2007, GEM's contribution to United Way have more than doubled from a total of just over $8,000 in 2007 to well over $17,000 in 2015. With Robert leading the way, 2015 marked the 5th consecutive year GEMS has led the county in departmental giving. These funds go to United Way of Gaston County, which in turn end up in funding local charities right here in Gaston County. For his exemplary efforts and successful fundraising for our community, Robert Sneed receives the Community Service Award. Thank you, Robert. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Who's next?
Would Scott Lambert please join me at the... Scott Lambert is the Technical Systems Advisor, 911 Communications Employee of the Year. Scott's technical expertise is extremely valuable to Gaston County. The best describe the following excerpt for his nomination. The Gaston County's first responder radio system has aged out and replacement is imminent. Mr. Lambert worked with outside vendors to determine which short-term repairs would provide the most benefit to keeping the system at safe and reliable levels of operation, while at the same time not incurring significant expenses with a limited long-term value. He devised a logical evaluation process which provides a means to maintain our current radio system at a safe level, which is the lowest cost possible, until that can be replaced. For this and his technical expertise and his cost-efficient efforts, Scott Lambert is the Employee of the Year.
I'd just like to take a chance to thank the board for this recognition and my coworkers for all their support. It really means a lot.
Alan Middleton. Not very far away. How you doing, brother? Alan Middleton was a deputy fire marshal in the fire marshal's office in 2015, but just retired earlier this year. Alan's nomination says, Alan's character is defined by what he does when no one is looking. Fortunately, someone was looking, or else it would not be known at this time what Alan could do and cited for the group for not having functioning fire devices on the premises. But instead, he bought and installed them himself. For the past few years, anonymous donors have provided gift cards for $150 for door prizes in order to drive the donations with the Gaston County Employee Blood Drives. With permission, we can now name Alan as that anonymous donor. For his dedication and inspiration for the residents of Gaston County, Alan Middleton is the Employee of the Year. Thank you,
Just wanted to thank the commissioners and my department for their support and help.
Thank you. Detective James Brenza? Good, I finally got to meet you. All these people talking about you so good out there.
He's doing Jason's, so you'll be up after him. After Chad? Yeah, he's doing Jason's too.
Detective Brenzen is a detective of the Gaston County Police Department for Criminal Investigations Unit. As an example of Detective Brenza's excellent work as demonstrated in 2015 during his investigation into a child's death, you may have read about in the 4-year-old Malachi Golden in the Gazette. Malachi had a rare disease which could have been easily connected to the cause of death. Detective Brenzen worked with others to educate himself on Malachi's medical conditions and compared that to the condition of Malachi at the time of death. Armed with his knowledge, Detective Brenzen obtained confessions from both offenders, leading to the charges of murder. For his extraordinary and determination efforts allowing justice to be found for Malachi Golden, Detective James Brenzen is the Employee of the Year.
I want to recognize, thank you very much to the board for this recognition, but I'd also like to thank the leadership at Gaston County Police Department for their guidance, time, and the tools necessary for the year-long investigation that resulted in the charging and hopeful conviction of the two responsible for Malachi. Thank you.
The next one, Chief Ramey will be accepting on behalf of Captain Downey, who couldn't be here tonight. Wait till you get here. Okay. It's one of your staff guys. Captain Billy Downey is the captain of the Gaston County Police Department in 2015. Captain Downey was a sergeant and supervised the K-9 unit. Captain Downey has become a respected member of law enforcement K-9 community. In 2015, Sergeant Downey was awarded the K-9 Team of the Year and awarded by his American Police K-9 Association after Downey and his K-9 partner, Indio, netted the largest marijuana bust in the association's 8-year history at 352 pounds. For his excellent work in the K-9 unit and earning national recognition for his accomplishment, Sergeant Billy Downey is the Employee of the Year, and accepted on his behalf is Chief Ramey.
Well, unfortunately, Captain Downey could not be here at the time of this nomination. He was sergeant over the K-9 unit. And unfortunately, the dog has also passed away from cancer. But I think Captain Downey and Detective Brienza and also Scott Lambert are great representatives of the outstanding quality we have at the county police, communications, and animal control. And it's a pleasure and honor to have them on our side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Is Miss Tanya Jones here? Come up and join me, please. Come on up if you want to, Laura. Oh, you're going to take a picture. Tanya Jones is a circulation supervisor at the library. Pardon me. In June of 2015, the Gaston County Public Library coordinated Gaston County's first ever Comic-Con event. And according to Tanya Jones' 3 nominees, she was a driving force behind its success. Tanya worked tirelessly behind the scenes, coordinating library staff, resources, vendors, volunteers, artists from around the region, and a charity group who dressed up like Star Wars characters. These efforts produced a fun-filled, family-friendly day that included many entertaining activities. Over the course of 6 hours, 8 programs were presented, and almost 800 individuals came through the door, likely making it the most successful program in the library's history. For her tireless efforts and initiative in Gaston's first annual Comic-Con event, Tanya Jones is Employee of the Year. Congratulations, Tanya.
I'd like to thank the board for this recognition. It's such an honor because I was nominated by my coworkers, and that makes it mean so much. And this event, which was really huge, couldn't be pulled off by one person alone. I had a lot of help. Too many people to name, but you all know who you are. And I'd like to particularly thank Laurel Morris and Paul Ward, the library director and assistant director. Without your leadership and direction and support and encouragement, I would never have had the guts to try to do this. So thank you for saying yes to my crazy ideas, and this one worked. And for everyone else who can hear me, the second annual Gaston Comic-Con will be happening on June 4th of this year. We're going to have costume contests, games, door prizes, and we're going to have those clone troopers and TIE fighter pilots walking around again. So it's a great family event. It's a great time, and you don't want to miss it. So please come.
Sound like we recognize Tanya for having fun. Karen Smith. Yeah. How you doing, Karen? Karen Smith is a senior assistant in the Register of Deeds office. Anyone who has regular interaction with Register of Deeds, Susan Lockridge's office, knows that Susan's right-hand lady is Karen Smith. Karen's 3 nominees point to her nearly 30 years of experience contributing to her excellent customer service. She is described as going the extra mile for the public and being that calm, patient person you want around during a crisis. According to Susan Lockridge, Karen's knowledge is priceless, and her support and loyalty to Gaston County and our office is a treasure you do not find. Karen is a special friend and co-worker. For her excellent customer service and nearly 30 years of loyal service to the Register of Deeds, Karen Smith is Employee of the Year. And the reason she could do that, she's got the best Register of Deeds in the state of North Carolina. Susan. This is the proclamation for Gaston County government, and this is being done all over the country. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties serving more than 300 million Americans provide essential services to create healthy, safe, vibrant, and economically resilient communities. And whereas Gaston County and all counties that pride in our responsibility to protect and enhance the health, well-being, safety of our residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas through National Association of Counties, NACO, President Sally Clark's Safe and Secure Counties initiative, NACO is encouraging counties to focus on strengthening the safety and security of their communities. And whereas, in order to remain healthy, vibrant, safe, and economically competitive, America's counties provide public health, justice, emergency management, and economic services that play a key role in everything from residents' daily health to disaster response. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to actively promote programs and services to the public we serve. And whereas Gaston County recognizes the 2016 National County Government Month theme as Safe and Secure Counties, now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners proclaim April 2016 as County Government Month in Gaston County, and encourages all county officials, employees, school, and residents to participate in county government celebration activities to be adopted later today. Thank you.
Would Miss Danielle Williams please join me at the podium? Danielle is a child support supervisor with social services. Danielle designed a training module for the child support program that better prepares new agents for their job duties at a faster pace. This has contributed to Gaston County meeting state collection goals in excess of $15 million for the past few years. Her attention to detail and ability to provide workable reports was instrumental in exceeding all of the state's incentive goals for 2015. Two sources point to Danielle's independently researching, interpreting, and planning for legislative changes that impact child support services. According to her nomination, Danielle is always researching and asking questions about state statutes to ensure that everyone understands the proper procedures. For her dedicated service to the families of Gaston County, Danielle Williams is an Employee of the Year.
Again, I'd just like to take a moment to thank the board for this recognition. I appreciate it. And everybody in Gaston County knows that works with child support. This is a team effort. This was not done by me. I share this with all my fellow coworkers.
Miss Sylvia Garden, please join me. Sylvia Garden is an economic services caseworker in social services. The launch of NC Fast, and she'll tell you a little more how fast it really was, resulted in a massive overhaul to the economic services system in 2015 and a significant backlog of cases. Sylvia is known for finishing her work, helping others with their caseloads, and volunteering for extra work at every opportunity to relieve the backlog. One of Sylvia's nominations speaks of a time she compassionate service to a husband seeking long-term medical care assistance for his wife. In an emotionally charged time for the husband, Sylvia answered all his questions with quiet assurance and comfort. To quote the nomination, "This has not happened just once. It's an easy circumstance emotionally or financially for the family, but it helps when you have a knowledgeable caseworker to assist you with compassion and empathy during that difficult time in your life." For her knowledgeable, dedicated, and compassionate service to the residents of Gaston County, Sylvia Garden is an Employee of the Year.
I want to thank the board for this recognition, and I want to thank everyone that voted for me, and I want to thank my family for supporting me. Thank you.
Mr. Eaton is going to accept Employee of the Year for Abby Newton. Good evening, sir. Good evening. Abby Newton. Abby is a Special Projects Manager for Public Health. Until September 2015, Abby was the Community Health Education Administrator. Thanks to her leadership and advocacy, community health education grew during her tenure to run critical health education programs, including the Teen Outreach Program, Making Proud Choices, Let Me Run, Faithful Families, Eating Smarter, Moving More, and Emergency Preparedness. Abby's greatest challenge came when she became manager of public health's reaccreditation process. This involved almost a year of planning, leading a committee, and writing up a 166-page report. In May 2015, Public Health received full accreditation thanks in large part to Abby's hard work. For her success with reaccreditation and for her efforts in community health, Abby Newton is the Employee of the Year. Mr. Steve Eaton.
Unfortunately, Abby was not able to be here tonight, but if you want to look at a model Employee of the Year, someone who's passionate in her work, reaches over the line to help anybody and everybody, it's Abby Newton. She's passionate about her work and inspires everybody around her. So on behalf of Abby, I'd like to thank the board for this opportunity to recognize her outstanding work. Thank you.
This last one is a proclamation for Social Work Month. Whereas the primary mission of social work profession is to enhance well-being and help meet the basic needs of all people, especially the most vulnerable in society through work in schools, social work agencies, health and mental health care facilities, and communities. Social workers daily embody this year's Social Work Month theme, Forging Solutions Out of Challenges, by helping individuals, communities, and the larger society tackle and solve issues that comfort them. And whereas social workers are the largest group of mental health care workers, providers in the United States, and daily work to help people overcome depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and other disorders so they can lead more fulfilling lives. Child, family, and school social workers across Gaston County provide assistance to improve the social and psychological functioning of children and their families. Whereas social workers help protect children, help children find loving homes and create new families through adoption, work in schools to foster future generations by ensuring students reach their full academic and personal potential, and work with older adults and their families to improve their quality of life and ability to live independently as long as possible and get access to quality mental health and health care. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners, in recognition of the valuable contributions made by Gaston County social workers, proclaims the month of March 2016 as Professional Social Work Month in Gaston County and calls upon all citizens to join with the National Association of Social Workers and the Gaston County Department of Health and Human Services in celebration and support of social work profession. This to be adopted the 22nd day of March 2016.
Thank you again for this opportunity. Speaking on behalf of social workers, both on the public health side as well as the social services side, I'd like to thank you all again for this recognition. These individuals, as you heard in the proclamation, have an extremely challenging job. They work with any and all citizens, most of whom are under duress and extreme challenges, and do so in a way that inspires everybody around them, including the families that they're working with. These people individually change lives every day and unfortunately don't get a lot of thanks for the work that they do. So again, thank you for this opportunity, and I'll be sure to share it with all the social workers. Thank you.
At this time, if the Employee of the Year recipients would come forward, we'd like to get a snapshot with you. And anybody else that wants to take a picture, just jump on up.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Oh, well, we'll do it 1 second.
That's the one who's recognized.
Come on, guys, up here.
The one who's recognized.
Okay. Squish in. Thank you very much. I'm not used to you doing that. Go ahead. We have one more recognition by the county manager.
Pat Laws, you have to come back up. Well, I'm not going to read through this entire document. I'm just going to hit a few of the highlights and make a few remarks and try not to embarrass Pat too much. But she is just such a tremendous asset to our organization. She's been with us for 6 years now and has brought in over $9 million from various sources and for various programs. Without her, these programs really wouldn't be able to function whatsoever. So some of the programs that we have in Gaston County are directly attributable to her efforts. And Pat is just a great resource to have around in general. I mean, she does all sorts of things that you wouldn't even believe. Today, I saw her physically intimidate Brian Moorhead. Seems impossible, but it happened. Now, seriously, some of the programs that Pat has been responsible for include some educational programs where she's done a lot of collaboration with Gaston County schools to great effect. Public safety, for example, the shelter receives about 75% of its funding through grants, and Pat has had a major responsibility for that. Economic development, a couple examples, there are many. One was the Nussbaum Automotive Solutions. That was $250,000. Another $500,000 grant to retrofit the building for Pacific Coast Feather. One thing I do want to touch on just very quickly is some of the work that she's done in the housing area because it is so critical. 30 families have been provided with the funds for urgent repairs because of Pat's efforts, and 34 families have been the recipients of full rehabilitation. So I selected Pat Laws as for the County Manager's Award this year, and I think you'll agree that that tribute is very well deserved. Thank you so much, Pat.
All right, at this time, it's a great pleasure for the Board of Commissioners to honor citizens who have unselfishly given of their time, talents, and skills in service as an appointee to one of our boards or commissions. This type of service is the foundation for citizen involvement in our county government and is helping shape the future of our community. We gratefully acknowledge the work of the following individuals, and certificates of appreciations have been forwarded to them. Jim Palaniuk from his work on the Environmental Review Advisory Board, Barbara Oates, Ricky McDowell, and Jane Collins for their work on the Workforce Development Board. And the last agenda item on the work session is a update from, citizens recognition. We do have 2 signed up. If you would come on up and state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes. First would be Angie Bloomfield. Good evening. And after that would be Beverly Huddle.
Thank you to the board for giving me some time today. My name is Angie Ballinger Bloomfield, and I grew up in Gaston County, and I'm currently a swimmer with the Gaston Masters Swim Team, made up of about 40 swimmers, which is part of the Gaston Gators swim team. My daughter, who's 11, is also swimming with the Gaston Gators for 5 years. That team currently has 120 age group swimmers. Our current pool is located under a big white bubble. Every morning, members of the Gaston Masters swimmers, who are local working professionals, pull off thermal covers and put up flags in order to have a place to get their swim on. Since I was a child, many community members, including my parents, have been working to get an aquatic center in Gaston County. As you're aware, we are still deficit in reaching that goal. I'd like to see my daughter swim in a competitive aquatic center befitting Gaston County. Therefore, several citizens of this fair city have come together to form Gaston Aquatic. We are working to build our own publicly and privately backed aquatic center. This type of complex has the ability to attract and draw larger crowds of people from further distances and entice people to stay longer in Gaston County. On the competitive side, most of the meets that we attend have around 300 swimmers that stay 2 to 3 days. By having an aquatic center, it will keep local dollars local and draw people to town, which will benefit our community. The intention is not for just competitive swimming, although that is an important objective in this endeavor. There are also health benefits to the community, including a year-long exercise opportunity for all age groups, along with physical therapy and rehab. By putting together Learn to Swim classes for every child in Gaston County school system, we could drastically reduce the drownings to 0. All children should have the opportunity, no matter what socioeconomic background, to survive when around water. We appear here today to share this need and its benefits for Gaston County, and we hope to further support each other in this mutual goal. I apologize, I get nervous in front of groups. And I have this timer, and I'm like, I don't want to lose time. So if you have any questions, I can answer
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a
Yeah.
question? Have you contacted anyone, you know the YMCA?
Yes, sir.
Is building a new facility.
Yes, sir.
And it may be an opportunity to work together.
Well, we were approached by them, but unfortunately, they gave us a week to raise the funds to build a competitive portion of the pool, and it was not realistic for us. And that's when we realized that we had enough interest, once we started speaking to people, to try and reach that week or 2-week goal, because, we don't want to be competitive against the YMCA. We have benefited from the Y for a long time. And I will recognize Trey Taylor, who is a encyclopedia of information on this, if it would,
Well, if
please.
it would help, can I have someone contact you
Sure.
over that project?
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you,
And
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I was going to say, we did speak to Andy Werlick and Tony.
Unfortunately, the rules of the meeting are during citizen recognition, we're not to take questions or
Oh,
give
I'm sorry.
response.
I'm sorry.
You can
Thank you,
submit
sir.
them to the manager or the clerk, but I know how near and dear this is to your heart.
Yes,
But we're well aware of, I've been in communication. I think I've talked with you on the phone, have I not?
Probably one of my other citizens, probably.
Okay.
With Ms. Barb Melvin.
Barbara Myers,
Okay.
yes.
And I would suggest that the next thing you do is, when you come before this board again, we would have to, entertain some type of plan.
Absolutely, and I believe we are scheduled to come in and do an actual presentation with you. And we are gathering information and plans.
April or May, I think?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now I'll call upon Mrs. Pat Rudisil to give an update on the county. What do I forget now? Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Huddle. Is there anybody else?
That's it.
The United States American Vietnam War commemoration was instituted by the United States government under the auspices of the Department of Defense to do what should have been done 50 years ago: thank and honor Vietnam veterans and their families for their services and sacrifice. Following in the footsteps of commemorations honoring military service in World War II and Korea, this national endeavor is hometown-centric and supported by more than 8,000 commemorative partners across America. Our reunion group from Hunter Huss applied for membership before the Veterans Day Parade last year. We were asked to have at least 2 events a year as commemorative partners to thank and honor our Vietnam veterans and their families who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. We're having a Gaston County event on Saturday, April 30th at Gaston Memorial Park to distribute 50th anniversary pins to all Vietnam era veterans who served during the time of November 1, 1955 to April 30th, 1975. We would like to personally invite elected officials to attend and be recognized and assist in shaking the hands of the military in attendance. Fox News, Time Warner Cable, local radio stations, and the Gazette are helping us inform the public of this event. I would ask that each of you share our media release and flyer with your friends, churches, and businesses, and hope that you can come.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you that morning. Now, Pat Rudisil is going to give an update on the Gaston County Museum of Art and History.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Moore, Mr. Mathers, Ms. Buff. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to you about the Gaston County Museum of Art and History. I'd like to quickly remind all of us of the mission of the museum, which is to interpret the distinctive cultural heritage of Gaston County and the region through historic preservation and the collection and conservation of artworks and artifacts. The museum strives to inspire diverse audiences to understand their shared heritage and to consider ideas and issues which link the past and present to the future. That said, there's a lot to share tonight, so I'll jump right in. First, I'd like to thank Cindy Moose for serving as the interim executive director while our search for a director continues. She has done an outstanding job, to no one's surprise, keeping the museum on track and working toward its mission, and she reminds us daily that we are fortunate to have a capable and dedicated staff who do remarkable work every day, oftentimes outside of their particular area of expertise in order to just get the job done. We expect to be naming a new executive director by the end of the month. Cindy has promised to stay on as one of our valuable volunteers and as a board member when her tenure ends. But now let's talk numbers. The museum continues to be a busy place. As of February 29th of this year, we have had 2,272 visitors to the museum, 4,721 school students on site for an educational program of some type, reached 1,792 students in their classrooms with a museum program, and reached just under 7,000 people through our outreach programs like concerts, festivals, lectures, receptions, exhibit openings, and other special events. We are on pace to meet or exceed our attendance figures from last year, just as we have done for the last 4 years. Every third grader in Gaston County has visited the museum this fiscal year as part of the Gaston Together Pride in Gaston County traveling tour. And our education department continues to build attendance at museum programs with elementary, middle, and high school students every year. Our Civil War and 19th century programs are especially popular with the 4th and 5th grade students, and our children's summer camps fill up quickly and provide both an entertaining and educational experience for children in June and July. Our public exhibits continue to engage, educate, and entertain visitors from around the region. Recent exhibits have focused on the story of moonshine in Gaston County, and that was a really popular reception that night. The history of Gaston Memorial Hospital, the history of recorded sound, and most recently, Hallowed Ground, a look at burial traditions in the region. Opening May 21st is Hometown Heroes, a look at how World War I impacted the lives of Gaston Countyans both at home and in military service. All of these exhibits have been made possible in part by the generous financial sponsorship of area businesses and individuals. Every year we mount temporary exhibits featuring artifacts from the museum's permanent collection, new student art, and the works of established and emerging regional artists. We're especially grateful this year to Marshall Rausch for his generous gift to the museum, which has endowed the new Jeannie Rausch art collection and exhibit. Our Legacy Lecture Series continues this year in collaboration with the Gaston County Library System with 3 events spotlighting Gaston County people and institutions, including talks on Ella Mae Wiggins and the Lowry Mill Strike, George Alexander Gray and the rise of the textile industry, and the history of African American schools in the area. There are a number of special events that attract visitors to the museum every year, including the newly launched Mayfair on the Square in Dallas, the annual Easter egg hunt on the Square, Halloween on the Square, and the annual Dallas Christmas Parade. We take the museum on the road throughout the year to take part in Cotton Ginning Days and the Hoyle Historic Homestead Open House, and we recently joined forces with the library and UNC Chapel Hill to help establish a history center at the Lorry Mill. Our staff is active on the speaking circuit, making presentations to service clubs and others across the county throughout the year. This past year, we entered into an agreement with the town of Dallas to manage the rental activity at the newly renovated historic Dallas Courthouse, and we're partnering with the town on a winter concert series as well as an upcoming summer concert series in an effort to bring visitors to the square and to the museum. The concerts to date have been well attended and popular and expose a new and often younger and more diverse audience to our mission and the museum. That's what we've been doing from our home base at the Hoffman Hotel. Let's move across the street and look at the old jail. Gaston County, we believe, don't quote me on this, but we're fairly certain, is the only county in North Carolina to have a 19th century courthouse, jail, and hotel still standing on their court square. With the Dallas Courthouse now beautifully restored and in use, and the Hoffman Hotel preserved and in use by the museum, our next step is to renovate the jail on the corner of Trade Street and Gaston Avenue. Our board and staff are continuing to explore the best options for the building's use, and in the meantime, we continue to make weatherproofing repairs to ensure the building's stability. There are additional buildings around the square, such as the Smyer-Paysauer House, the Rhine Store, and the Setzer Building, that when combined with these other three structures, could eventually create a small-scale Old Salem here in Gaston County. That possibility is certainly a long-range view of the board, and our immediate focus is on the jail renovation. But our board believes in the plausibility of such a long-term vision. It's that kind of vision and what-if mentality that helps sustain the excitement and interest in the museum, its programs, and its place in the community's culture. Internally, the museum staff and board are currently undergoing an organizational self-assessment study offered by the American Museum Association that will lay the groundwork for our next strategic plan and eventual reaccreditation. The Gaston County Museum of Art and History is one of just a handful of small museums in North Carolina with accreditation by the American Museum Association, an important distinction of which we are very proud. The renovation of the jail will be an important component of our next strategic plan. As a reminder, the jail is the fourth building in the museum's inventory, along with the Hoffman Hotel, the Carriage House, and the depot. Our staff currently includes 4 full-time positions, the executive director, an administrative assistant, a programs coordinator, and a curator, and 8 part-time positions, an accounting technician, a program assistant, an outreach coordinator, a part-time registrar, and 4 part-time security guards. Every year, we have 2 or 3 unpaid interns, typically college students, who are with us for several months at a time. On our wish list, moving the part-time program assistant and part-time outreach coordinator to full-time, and adding a full-time membership and marketing coordinator. As I said, it's a wish list. We, like every nonprofit organization, rely on a dedicated group of volunteers to assist with programs, to work in the gift shop, and to help with special events. We thank them for their generosity and commitment. Our priorities for the coming year include some needed repairs in the textile exhibit, which remains one of the most popular attractions at the museum, growing our membership base to pre-recession levels, providing our staff with continued professional development opportunities, expanding our program to make use of the additional space offered by the courthouse, and expanding opportunities to collaborate with other local cultural and civic groups. I would be remiss if I didn't invite you all to stop by for a visit or to join us for a concert or lecture. And of course, I would encourage you all to become members of the museum if you haven't already. Membership is certainly a vital way for our friends to express their support and voice their confidence in the work that goes on at the museum every day. And finally, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, the staff, and more importantly, our community, I want to thank you for your continued support of the museum and its programs. 40 years ago tomorrow, in fact, on March 23, 1976, during our nation's bicentennial year, the museum received its tax-exempt status and became a legal entity supported by Gaston County and governed by an independent board of trustees. And for 40 years, we have partnered to interpret, preserve, and celebrate the history and heritage of our county. Thank you for all you have done to help us make the museum grow and flourish. And thank you for all you will do in the years ahead to help us to continue our mission to inspire, to understand, and to appreciate our shared heritage. Tom, thank you so much for inviting me tonight, and I'll be glad to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Well, I want to thank you for that very enlightening report. And I will say, as a longtime board member there, I'm not very active. I try to help when I can with the funding. And Alan, sitting in the back, also another member over there. We encourage people to come. It's one of the jewels in the crown of Gaston County that is still relatively unexplored by many of our residents and surrounding areas. And the great thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no fee to go in there.
There's not.
They do have a little donation box, and
We
they
do.
have a little gift shop, but you could go in there and spend several hours and just look at the place where we live, and it's from way back to current times often. That said, is there any commissioner that would like to make comment, ask a question?
All right.
Okay, Pat,
All right.
thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much.
This concludes our rescheduled work session for tonight. Our next work session is April 12th, 6 p.m. right here in the Harley B. Gaston Jr. Public Forum Courthouse. I was going to move right into the meeting, but I've been told by our clerk that we need to just break for a couple minutes so they can upload some of our devices up here. So we'll take 5 minutes. We'll start back at 5 after 7. I'll now call the regular meeting to order, please. The County Commission will take citizen comment on the following. First, zoning map change, and secondly, to approve a grant to Gaston County Development Corporation for the establishment of a hybrid business incubator project. Before we go into public hearing, let me outline the rules of procedure. First, citizens wishing to make comment will be recognized by the chairman, then requested to step to the microphone for their comments. Second, citizens will state their name and address for the record. Third, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. 4, questions shall be directed to the chair for response, and the chair shall rule on all points of order during the hearing. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing?
Second.
Mr. Brown made the motion, Mr. Philbeck the second. Any discussion? All those in favor? The commission will take comment on zoning map change Z16-01. Andrew and Daphne Tench are the applicants. Property parcels that are stated in the agenda from R1 Single Family Limited Zoning District W/US Overlay to R2 Single Family Moderate Zoning District W/US Overlay. I'll now ask Mrs. Sarah Penley, Planning Specialist, for comments. Good evening, Ms. Penley.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for the background information, and I'd simply like to highlight some few key points of this request. For your consideration tonight is rezoning application Z16-01. The applicant is Andrew and Daphne Tench, who are also present tonight should you have any questions, as well as property owners Arden and Elizabeth Reiser, who are in the audience, or who are not present tonight, excuse me. We have 3 parcels that are under consideration, with 2 parcels being located at McGinnis Street and 1 being located on West Catawba Avenue. One of those parcels is a corner lot and has some frontage on Old Hickory Grove Road as well. The request tonight is from the R1 Single Family Limited with the U.S. overlay to the R2 Single Family Moderate with the U.S. overlay, and the subject area contains approximately 2.67 acres proposed to be rezoned tonight. And if we can go to the VZ for reference, and I will, okay. The subject parcel is highlighted here in blue. These are the three parcels adjoining one another that are proposed tonight for rezoning. As you can see, it's located in surrounded by mostly the R1 residential jurisdiction with some C3 uses across the street and adjoining it, as well as the TMU district or the mixed use district adjacent or kind of catty-cornered to the property. This is an aerial shot of the same area, the three parcels that are in question, and it shows the mixed use of different residential and commercial structures that surround the property that's in question. This property is located in the northeast area of the Comprehensive Plan Strategy Map. With consideration to the comprehensive plan goals and objectives, it is in the opinion of staff that the proposed map amendment is consistent with the comp plan. No municipal coordination was required. We have received 2 calls to the office prior to the hearing for the purposes of general information, and no further calls or inquiries have been made. And Mr. Chairman, this concludes our report.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any citizen that would like to make comment at this time? Yes, sir. If you would come on up, state your name and address.
My name is Jeff Ramey. I live on West Catawba Avenue with my mother. We live at 1008 West Catawba Avenue, and we're just here to see what kind of zoning, what kind of housing is going to be put on this land.
Yeah.
He wants to know what kind of housing, Ashley, or is it?
Is it going to be single trailers or double?
She's digging up the information as we speak.
Although they have the right to establish any use that's approved within the R2 zoning district, at this time, it's the intent of the applicant to put a duplex on the property, to construct duplexes on the property.
There's your answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other citizen? Yes, sir.
I'm Robert Armstrong. I live diagonally across the street from the property. I've lived there.
Give us your address, please.
113 McGinnis Street. It's the red roof on the map. But it just concerns me that the possibility of having modular homes, manufactured homes like mobile homes, I mean double wides rather, they don't appreciate in value. I just feel like it might affect the value of the property in the neighborhood, not just mine. And I'm just against it, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can Ms. Penley please go back up and just point out that property again?
Okay, we're going to have questions from us in a minute. Any other citizen?
I want to know
Yes,
where
sir.
these people live.
The aerial map?
Lives in a red roof house. Oh, shit, that red roof he said.
This one, I believe. And here's the subject properties in question, this parcel here on the corner, this parcel, and here's the third one here. I believe, sir, am I indicating the right area? He said the house with the red roof on it. It's kind of.
That's the second.
Yes, sir, yep, I'm sorry. So that was the gentleman that just spoke, resides right here in this red house.
I live on the West Catawba, the backside. I live right beside on the blue square right there.
Right here. This would be West Catawba's side. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
My name's Andy Tinch. I'm the applicant.
Okay.
Me and my wife.
And your address?
2101 Old Hickory Grove. We're probably a mile or so farther down the road. Not exactly sure what to say. I mean, I could assure all the neighbors that what we're wanting to do is absolutely no modular homes, no double wides, stick-built, brick veneered buildings. The whole thing started with wanting a mother-in-law suite, close enough but not too close. So that's what got it started, and that's what our intentions are.
Okay, thank you. Any other citizen? Members of the planning board, any questions? Any other questions from the board? Mr. Price?
Thank you. On the first map you put up, everything is R1. If it's not labeled anything other than R1, everything around the property is R1?
Yes, sir, that'd be correct. It's, this area here is mostly R1 residential. You've got some commercial zoning across the street from the property and almost adjacent to it. But from the aerial, excuse me if I can lay this one back, the aerial view, you just have a myriad of different types of residential housing in this R1 section here.
Okay. As Mr. Tench just said, what prohibits him from doing what he stated in R1, and what does it have to be changed to R2?
For that specific of a question, I'd like to refer to Mr. Ron Smith, who has worked with the applicant with the rezoning request, and he can better answer that question for you, Mr. Price.
Mr. Chairman, the R1 does not allow for duplexes. That's why he's got to get it R2.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Mr. Philbeck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving to an R2, what is allowed? Can you go over everything that's allowed in an R2?
Yes, sir. Some uses allowed by right. Dwellings are manufactured home Class A, dwelling manufactured home Class B, dwelling single-family essential services Class 1, a recycling deposit station, accessory, or taxidermy. And then there are also, those are uses that are allowed by right, but then there are some additional uses that are allowed with supplemental regulations that fall under those, if you'd like me to read those.
I want to hear them.
Yes, sir.
Because although the applicant, and I believe the applicant wants to build a duplex, once we change this, and if the property changes hands, these are things that a property owner would be able to do, so we need to hear it.
Yes, sir. Some uses allowed by right with the supplemental regulations would be an automobile hobbyist, cemetery accessory use, bona fide farms, botanical gardens, a church's place of worship, daycare centers, Class A, daycare centers with Class B, two-family dwelling, essential services, Class 2 and 4, family care home, flex base, group home, home occupation, customary, home occupation, rural, landfill, beneficial fill, landfill, land clearing, and inert debris, marinas, accessory, maternity home, park, a planned residential development, a planned unit development, private residential quarters, a produce stand, a restaurant within other facilities, schools, elementary and/or junior high, senior high, stadium, telecommunication antenna and equipment buildings, and traditional neighborhood development. Those are uses that would be allowed by right, but with supplemental regulations attached to them. And then there's also uses allowed with a conditional use permit, and further additional uses that are allowed with a conditional use permit with supplemental regulations as well.
Okay. And I have one more question, Mr. Chairman. How common is it to have an R2 in an R1 district like that? Is this common?
Yes, sir. Most of those are scattered throughout the county, similar to that. Usually have R1 and R2 is going to be adjacent to each other. You got smaller pockets of R2. Basically, the entire county used to be what would be RA, which would be equivalent to the R2 district we have now. And most of the uses that she just read that's allowed in R2 are also allowed in R1 with the exception of the manufactured A and B, A.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess, Ron, have you spoke to the applicant about maybe having a conditional use on this property?
That was a reference we made earlier with it, that it's simpler and easier to go through with a straight rezoning, and that was his choice to do that instead of go through the conditional use process.
Okay.
Mr. Price?
Thank you. Mr. Smith, in your opinion, does a duplex in this existing neighborhood devalue the property in any way?
Not being an appraiser, I wouldn't want to venture out on that, but it's a residential use. So the neighborhood's residential, and I'm thinking there's some apartments in the area that's in this current district.
Thank
you. Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you said, Mr. Smith, that many of the things that she read are allowed currently, with the exception of the modular homes?
Well, modular's allowed in R1 also. It's the manufactured homes. that's
Manufactured
not.
homes, okay. So that's the main difference that we're talking about?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any way to get him where he wants to go without making this change?
The parallel conditional use permit process. That would have to go through with a parallel conditional rezoning, that you'd have the rezoning to R2 with the conditional use that would allow him just that one use on it.
At this time, I'm going to go back to the planning board. Any questions? Well, no more questions. I'll go ahead and excuse the planning board to the first appearance courtroom, number 2029. All those that have interest are more than welcome to go in and observe. And folks from the planning board, I thank you very much for your service in coming out tonight. Item number 2, the commission will take comment on a grant for the establishment of a hybrid business incubator featuring gigabit speed internet pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 158-7.1, and to approve the grant agreement and appropriation for the project. At this time, I'll ask County Attorney Moore for his comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we all know, the board has previously vetted and approved this project. What we didn't know was that during the last session of the General Assembly, there was a change in law and a revision to General Statute 158-7.1. So we were taken by surprise a month ago and realized that we needed to do a public hearing in order to be authorized to do this appropriation. So we kind of stopped everything where we were at that point and advised the GGDC of the situation and scheduled a public hearing for tonight so that we could get the project back on the road again.
Is there any citizen that would like to make a comment? Questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter, second by Mr. Philbeck. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. This concludes the public hearing for tonight. The board would like to thank each of you for your input. Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Third.
Mr. Philbeck made the motion, Commissioner Brown the second. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you very much. We now take ourselves to the business agenda. Are there any revisions to the agenda?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
What's your question?
On item AC, I'm not familiar with this county remote control flying club one way.
AC.
Item AC.
What is, what is that, where is it, what is that?
I don't know, is Ray here? I don't see him.
Mr. Mathers?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Ray can jump in just a second, but in essence, this is a radio-controlled aircraft field, and I believe it sits atop a retired landfill. Now, we are compelled by statute to maintain that landfill, if not in perpetuity, at least for a long time, with post-closure funds. And but the radio-controlled airfield is something that I believe was approved by the county commission at some point in the, I'm not sure how distant past, but.
There he is.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mathers is correct. The landing strip is on an old closed landfill that we currently monitor and maintain. That landfill was closed, I believe, in the early 80s. The landing strip itself, I don't remember the exact date, but it was constructed sometime in the early 90s. So it's been there for 15, 20 years, or 20 years, 25 years. And I
30,
believe it
35.
was something that the Parks Commission was involved in, as well as the County Commission at the time. But that predates me, so I'm just basically going off of information that I have.
Is the money being used to help with the landfill requirements? Is that what?
Well, there's several components. The landfill it's closed, and there's a closure permit for the landfill itself. Part of that closure permit recognizes the landing strip and the amenities for the radio control flyers. So they're integral to each other from the state's perspective as far as the permitting goes. What has happened is the landing strip was paved years ago on top of the old landfill, and over time, that landfill has moved. It has settled. The waste mass underneath has decomposed and has allowed differential settlement to occur. So the landing strip itself has settled to the point that it actually holds water in areas of the landing strip when it rains. So it's a combination of a recreational facility that's on top of an old closed landfill, and the settlement is really creating the problems.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Frater?
Yeah, I was approached by one of the members of the club, and he was telling me how it was tearing up the planes when they're out there flying them with this group, and I told him that I would bring it forward and see if we could possibly take care of it. I went out on a park tour one day with when we did one of those deals and watched them fly the planes. Pretty cool place, so you know, let's see if we can fix it up for them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is anybody interested in pulling that item? All right. Anything else? If not, Mr. Moore has, he wants to make a clarification on the non-consent agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, we received today a call from the Local Government Commission regarding our plan to sell some refunding bonds along with the school bonds that we're going to issue next month. The call was about the fact that we had approved refunding bonds in 2013, and we have not exercised all of that authority to date. And actually, we have enough remaining authority under the 2013 refunding to fold this new money, this $5.6 million, into that authority from 2013. So we were advised today that we don't have to do the preliminary resolution and the advertisement for the bond order. We will bring a bond order to you at our meeting in April, which will approve the this refunding that we are proposing. So we had a lot of people doing a lot of preliminary work on that, and then discovered, you know, at the last minute, we actually had all the authority we needed on that, so we can delete that item.
Eliminate it.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question there. I know the school bond, haven't they let a contractor on one of these schools? Is it holding up construction?
No, sir, they have received bids for the elementary school, and we're scheduled to receive bids for the middle school this week. But we have a question now about whether that's going to happen on schedule. So that's going to cause some delay, I think.
Okay.
We are doing everything as quickly as we can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we will delete that. If there are no other items to be discussed, I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Carpenter, Mr. Fraley, second. All those in favor? All right, motion to approve the minutes of the regular, pardon? You opposed? Okay. So it was 6-1. Motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 26 and the rescheduled meeting of February 9th. I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Carpenter. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. You opposed? Okay. I can't, there you are. I'm going to move back. I can't see you through Joe. No citizen recognition, I take it? Okay. Brings us to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Price made the
Second.
motion, second by Mr. Fraley. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? 6-1. We've eliminated the non-consent item, but we do have we haven't heard back yet, have we, Chuck? Okay. Zoning matter we'll just put off. Appointments, Mr. Fraley, we'll start with you, please.
None, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Brown?
I have one for the Economic Development Commission for reappointment of Ms. Julie Roper.
Second.
Mr. Brown made the motion, Mr. Price the second. Discussion, all those in favor? All in favor? Okay. You're in favor? Okay. Mr. Price?
No appointments.
Why?
None on my sheet.
Mr. Williams?
No.
No appointments. Mr. Philbeck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make these in consecutive order, or consolidate, rather. Mr. William Bill Trudnak to the Environmental Review Advisory Board, as recommended by the town of Dallas, and Michael White to the Gaston County Board of Adjustments.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
I have one, a reappointment to the Personnel Advisory Board, Rachel Whitaker.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? We have some full board vacancies and recommendations to reappoint Donnie Hicks to the Central Line Economic
So
Development
moved.
Commission.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Philbeck, second by Mr. Price. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. And the reappointment of Joe Carpenter.
So moved.
To the
Second.
Mr. Philbeck made the motion, Mr. Price the second. Discussion, all those in favor? Thank you, it's unanimous. All right. At this time, I will call upon the commissioners for any reports you may want to present at this time.
None, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Fraley. Mr. Brown?
None at this time, Mr. Chairman.
You, that guy. Mr. Price?
No reports tonight.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to commend Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest and Speaker Tim Moore for going into session and opposing and addressing that bathroom bill from the city of Charlotte. I know many citizens from Gaston County have spoken out about that, and I commend them for addressing it. And I hope they're very clear and concise in how they address it, and they don't get into any more broad issues that could hamper local governments, but put a stop to silly ordinances like those passed. I would also like to wish my favorite commissioner, Joe Carpenter, a happy 80th birthday. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Philbeck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one. I'd like to wish Joe happy 80th birthday. As many of you know, Joe is not running again, so this is his last year on the board. And really enjoy serving with Joe. A lot of fun. And I was really surprised. I thought he was 120, but he's actually 80. But I want to give you a list of accomplishments. I want to put Joe's service in perspective for you. He has served on the county commission for 20 years. He served 4 years as chairman, 3 years as vice chair. He's attended every annual meeting of the NCACC and served as a voting delegate for 18 years. He served on the NCACC Tax and Finance for 14 years and served as chair, the NCACC Intergovernmental Relations Steering Committee 3 years, State and Local Fiscal Modernization Commission for 2 years, a voting delegate to NACO Annual Conference for 14 years, served on the NACO Transportation Steering Committee for 14 years, and was vice chairman of the Highway and Safety Committee for 3 years. Current member of the Charlotte Regional Partnership, a founding member, and has served 20 years. Current member of the Central Carolina Council of Governments for 14 years, served 2 years as chairman, 2 years as vice chairman. Founding member of the Central Carolina EDC for around 10 years. Gaston Regional Chamber member, 45 years, been involved. Gaston College Foundation Board on the Finance Committee, 10 years. Served the Gaston College Board of Trustees for 12 years. 24 years on the Gaston County Economic Development Commission and was chairman for 3 years. Farmers Market Chair for 20 years. Transportation Advisory Committee, the TAC to the MPO, 13 years, 6 years as chairman. Quality of Natural Resources, member of the Charlotte Airport Advisory Committee, 2 years. Gaston County Airport Advisory Committee, 1989. Airport Study Committee, 1989. Member of the Charlotte Douglas International Airport Commission since 2013. And here's a list of other committees. Consolidated Human Service Selection Subcommittee in 2013. Social Services Site Study Committee, 1991. Study Committee for County Master Plan. Gaston County Family Health Care Service Committee. Architect Review Committee for the Courthouse and Jail Facility. Negotiation Committee with the GGDC for the analyst position in 2001. Regional Greenway Network Steering Committee 2003. Carolina Counties Coalition Task Force 1981-91. Gaston County Task Force on Indigent Care in 1989. Past president of the Rotary Club of Gaston County for more than 24 years. 16 years as a member of the Piedmont Council Boy Scouts of America Executive Board, with over 69 years of participating in scouting, first as a scout, then a scout leader, then executive board member, and vice treasurer, and the current chair of Facilities Committee. The Civitan Club, 10 years, 2 years as president, member of the Sister Cities, and a former board member since 1990. Been to Gotha, Germany 5 times and going again in May. Member and past president of the Associated Landscape Contractors of America for 44 years, and a founding member and past president of the North Carolina Association of Landscape Contractors, 2 years as president. And I think he knew Moses as well. That's somewhere in here. But I do want to say it is such an honor to serve with someone that really gives himself to the position, and just really wanted to wish you a happy 80th birthday. Donna Buff made a homemade lemon mousse cake for Joe. I think it's his favorite type of cake, and we just wanted to make it a little special for you. So happy birthday.
Well, thank you. You know, I'm not finished yet.
We're just celebrating your birthday. Wait till you're finished.
Well, I don't feel any different than I did 10 years ago. Of course, I didn't feel too good then.
Well, you better hurry up and do a bunch of stuff so we have something to say on your last meeting.
Oh, well, I appreciate your generosity in those remarks, Tracy, and I've been blessed with a good life, and I give the Lord the credit for my good health during those years. And, so I'm looking forward to continuing to work in this county. Probably my successor, Bob Hovis, is back there. Congratulations, Bob, on winning the primary, if you can make it through the general election. And I know that you'll do a good job here on this board. But all of you guys have been very supportive. We've worked through every issue, and I hadn't got a bruise mark yet. So I appreciate the work that each one of you do. And I look forward to serving until the first meeting in December. And thank you.
Thank you. I and Mr. Price attended the Community Leaders Luncheon, which was the Medicaid reform in North Carolina discussion at that particular meeting. The college, I chair the campus affairs meeting, and due to some new provisions and laws within the Southern Association of Colleges, we're having to redo a number of our human resource areas. So we've been working in committee on that. The big item is at our monthly meeting last night or yesterday evening, they presented the budget for the county, and it will include an increase of $274,909. The majority of that comes for campus, is for campus safety. They're asking for 2 additional campus police officers, 2 clerical positions, and a housekeeper. I just wanted to forewarn everyone that that will be coming at us. And real quickly, Kathy Hart, would you come to the podium, please? There's been a little issue with regards to a policy change by the board at Parks and Rec, and there's been some question as to why that's happening and what it means to the Parks and Rec's finances. If you could, real briefly, would you explain the logic behind the change?
Sure. We had some issues last year with folks reserving our fields with the best intentions, but they ended up not using all the fields. So we wanted to do something to try to keep that from happening, because it benefits Gaston County for all of our fields to be reserved. And we had some tournament directors who ended up taking teams out of the county to play last year. So we did a lot of research, contacted a lot of other recreation departments to see what they were doing, and presented a policy, proposed change in the policy for deposits to our advisory board back in October. Had a lot of discussion, probably took the whole meeting, about a good probably 2-hour meeting. But at that point, the advisory board approved what we had proposed, which was requiring the full tournament fee to be paid as the deposit. The tournament fee is $70 per field. But in order to not be such a financial burden to those reserving fields, we would divide that quarterly. So we would accept first quarter deposits in January, second quarter deposits in March, and so on throughout the year. We had 4 tournament directors have tournaments in the first quarter. 3 of the tournament directors were okay with it. 1 struggled with the policy, and we have tried to work with him to get his payments in. We don't want to lose any business, but we felt like that was the best course to go with to ensure that our fields were used. They were reserved and they were fully used. We talked about that policy again in January. Consider making a revision to allow monthly payments instead of quarterly, but the board felt like that would be cumbersome, and they felt like we were in line with what other counties and city recreation departments were doing, so they chose to leave the policy as it stood. So I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Kathy, for coming. I guess my question is, on the 3-month policy, this doesn't help anyone from the county because basically what we're doing is stretching this out for 3 months in a cash flow situation, which is seasonal business. The consumer, whom we're trying to make sure we have them in town, at the end of a 3-month policy is paying more than $70 for that field, if you think about that. So that's not behooving to anyone in that business. For us, for 3 months up front, I think is just a little excessive because it really puts you in a seasonal business. Off the bat, it really hurts. So I had proposed in my letter to the chairman of maybe 1 month with a penalty, and basically that way it can come back out to on the 25th of the month incurring before, they pay for the month up in advance. And then if they were to back out then, they have the penalty that they would pay, which is half that rent of that particular, ever how many fields they had. And that would be an easier solution because I did talk to the tournament directors, and all of them said the reason they haven't backed out this year is because it's so quick, and that's their business. That's their livelihood. So that was my process for sending the chairman my letter that I sent to try to find out how we could, A, keep these people in town because this is a business that we got in because of these people. It wasn't because we had this and we said, hey, come here. They basically started here and they want to stay here. I think 2 of the 4 that are in the first quarter live inside of Gaston County. So I would like to try to see how we can work on a monthly basis rather than a 3-month basis because the county is basically holding money in lieu of what they have, so to speak. We could do that in a 1-month term the same way because it's the same provisions. It's just not they're having to put as much up front. In a seasonal business, this is crippling to these people because they have got to advertise. They've got to be able to make it in some sort. You talk about surrounding counties. I was in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, and we had someone speaking on behalf of our Parks and Rec upfront fee. I guess they talked to somebody. And this is about soccer is how I first learned about this when I was at the state Parks and Rec meeting. So I wondered how that was saying, but they don't want to come here because that's upfront money that they spend. Soccer's becoming big. Also, the lacrosse was represented there that day. So is that word's getting out about us? I would rather see us try to find a move and a policy change to a 1-month commitment. And I would like to see, Tom had asked me to come to your board tomorrow, so I didn't really prepare anything for tonight to talk to you. So I would like to see that being taken under advisement if we could. And if not, I'd like to talk to this board about maybe making a policy change because it is putting these people at risk of, someone who has 30 dates throughout the year. That's a big person if they leave. And I'll say this, somebody can say they can fill it, but I don't think anybody's going to fill 30 dates if we were to lose 30 or 40 dates a year in our parks system.
Well, we are actually booked through November, the end of November. And three of the 4 tournament directors live in Gaston County. We did work with folks in the first quarter because we know there's a cash flow issue. They're not doing a lot of tournaments in December, January. We worked with those that had trouble paying those deposits the first quarter. Everybody paid their deposits the second quarter on the deadline. So
some of them aren't
correct.
paying as much as some as well.
Correct, correct. But we've tried to work with them. You know, I think they would all tell you that we've tried to work with them to, you know, we're not bill collectors. We just want to see our fields reserved.
I think this hurts us, not this year, next year. This is where we're trying to be friendly for people, because I'll just be honest with you, and you very well know my stance on this. There's a lot of competition around us to where they can go. Shelby just opened up, Rock Hill just opened up, and we're sort of playing catch-up on some maintenance that we probably need, and that's where I'd rather see our money be spent for you this year, is basically just taking and giving you what you want. But I think this right here hurts us about the people who are here, who basically, we don't have to go out and find anybody to come in. We can fill in the dates from other people looking for the dates that these people have. And I spoke to two of them yesterday about what would happen if we lost one. How would we find a way? And, we could fill it, but still, 30, 35 dates is a hard number to fill when you don't have it all.
Well, we turned some folks away. We gave tournaments to 4 different directors this year, but we had a couple who didn't give us strong enough information that we would take dates away from those 4 tournament directors. So we actually have some people looking to get in that haven't been able to get in yet, so.
Mr. Carpenter?
Thank you, Kathy. I'm trying to understand the decision on your board for this move, and I believe you said that fields were being reserved, but they were a vacant part of the time. Is that?
That's correct. People, we have a tournament meeting usually in November or December, and all the dates are awarded for the year. The deposit situation has been different over the past 5 years, but there's always been a upfront deposit required. The tournament directors pay that, but in the past, it's only been for half the fields. If you reserve 4 fields, you only pay half that. So the fields, when they didn't have as much cash invested, so perhaps they had other fields reserved, and our fields would sit vacant because, you know, they had them reserved, but they ended up either not getting enough teams or they played in multiple locations. So.
But number one, we have our park and rec for the citizens of Gaston County, right? And I would say they have the priority. And it's good to have these tournaments, you know, it brings income into the county, but it seems like we could get some sort of priority system on who reserves, whether they pay up front or not. But the important thing is, for me, is for the citizens of Gaston County, number one, to be able to use these facilities. And then hopefully we can work with the promoters of tournaments, you know. And I'm not sure all of the ramifications that Chad was talking about, but.
Well, travel ball has changed a little bit. We have a lot of local teams that are playing travel ball. We still have some come in from out of county, but there's a tremendous number of Gaston County teams that will play rec ball and travel ball. So they're participating in those, local folks are participating in those weekend tournaments as well.
Yeah, well, I'd like to understand it better before we make any changes, because, you know, you got a board there that they've looked at all of these issues, so, and I'll consider it, you know, something we need to do.
Anyone else have a question? Well, I feel if I don't say something, we're just leaving it hanging, and is there a wish?
I think it needs to go back to review by the Parks and Rec.
It did at the monthly meeting last night. I was there, and they unanimously wanted to keep it the way it is right now.
And that was without provisions that we were trying to make. You had asked me to meet with Kathy tomorrow, so now you want to make policy change.
I asked you to talk to Kathy tomorrow.
Well,
We had our meeting last night.
And we're trying to make a decision tonight. Won't we let this
We
go
don't
through
have to make a decision
with her
tonight.
advisory board to try to see if they want to take those revisions under change for 1 month and the penalty rather than the 3 months up front?
Well, Kathy I'm sure you can poll the board. You can send an email with what Mr. Brown has described, please, and in the next couple of days, and get the response back to Donna so she can respond back to us. Would that suffice?
Well, I mean, it just wasn't what we talked about before. That's why I wanted to make sure that I got the opportunity to put it out there before it was circumvented.
It's out there.
Still
Is
think it
that
was circumvented, though, but that's okay.
Circumvented what?
Has to be brought up because we were going to talk about it with her discussion to
Well,
have put it in there. But
When
that's
I saw
okay.
her back there,
That's no problem.
I just thought it'd be easier than you calling her tomorrow. I was trying to help you out,
That's
get
no
a better
problem.
explanation.
I totally appreciate it.
Okay. Does that suffice the board that we'll just let Kathy contact Parks and Rec Board and see if there's an interest in them changing?
All right.
Okay.
Hold on. Does that do what you want, Commissioner Brown?
Yes, for right now.
Okay, I'm fine.
Okay. And you'll contact Donna once you get the results. But if you would, please send all of us the email that you're sending the Parks and Rec Board so we make sure it's what is wanted to be presented to the Parks and Rec Board.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go back to the non-consent. We have the zoning matter. I think Mr. Moore has the results of that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the zoning map amendment application, Z1601, the planning board has recommended approval on a unanimous vote.
Okay, I will entertain a Mr. Carpenter made the motion, Mr. Brown made the second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? 5-2. Thank you, gentlemen. If I'm not missing something, I think that brings us to the manager's report.
Motion to adjourn?
Well, this may take a while, but
Okay, motion to adjourn.
just a couple items. We have concluded our departmental level budget meetings for the year and are continuing to do analysis in preparation for the budget that we will submit to you in the not-too-distant future. Of course, we've had the highly festive Employee of the Year awards in the last month. And we continue to do a good deal of work on both the Caramont lease and township grant programs. That would conclude my report for this evening.
Mr. Moore,
No report, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. Right now, we have other matters. I think Mr. Fraley would like to add something.
I would just be remiss if I didn't wish Joe a happy birthday also. I was going to do it under other matters, the work session, but Chairman Keeger skipped that part altogether. So everybody jumped the gun on me this time, but you did make a comment that it'd been a good life, and I wanted to say also you got a good wife who was alongside you all the way on most of those ventures and trips, and I would just say you don't look a day over 79, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, I'd like to wish you a happy birthday, Joe, and many more.
Okay. I'd say we'd sing happy birthday, but I heard it in the back room already, so we'll skip that. And before I conclude the meeting, just a couple of announcements. The 44th Annual Dog Show is Sunday, May 1st, and I believe that's over at the Dallas Park, correct? And that's from 3 to 5:30 p.m., a little later. And then also the Gaston County Parks and Rec, for all you folks out there with kids aged 7 to 14, they're going to have the Major League Pitch, Hit, and Run competition, and the winners of those do wind up at the, I believe they wind up at the Major League All-Star Game or the World Series, one or the other, to finish that competition. I would also like to wish all our viewers on behalf of the board a very happy and blessed Easter, which is this Sunday. This concludes our meeting for tonight. The board has scheduled a special meeting for April 12th to hold a public hearing to adopt a bond order authorizing the general bond obligation refunding bond series. And we're not going to have to do that, are we? Yeah. Okay. Okay. It hit me after I started reading. Our next meeting will be April 26th, the Harley B. Gaston Jr. Public Forum Courthouse. Thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, please telephone our clerk at 704-866-3196. We are adjourned.